the Hoop Streams trade deadline special. We've commandeered the big studio. It's Bobby Marks, our front office insider. Bobby, you've done a lot of trade deadlines. You like this side of the trade deadline? You like working in the office?
You know, I was counting it the other night. This is my 32nd trade deadline.
I'm sure
they all have their different memories here. I enjoy being on this side of it here because we're just reacting and giving our opinion and not answering to an angry owner.
Yeah, there's no ranting billionaire right now. All right, let's also go all the way out to the East Coast to Bristol. This guy wouldn't blame if he was ranting. It's our senior insider, Shams Charania. Shams, welcome in, and you've earned some rest, but we're not going to let you do it just yet.
I appreciate you guys having me on the annual Hoop Streams post-trade deadline. And Bobby, 32 trade deadlines.
Shams is not even 32 years old.
I'm 31, so you've been part of more trade deadlines than I've been alive. But I feel like I'm 50 in basketball years, so actually
that's why you have a nicer set of hair than I do.
That's right. Well, some people were pulling their hair out dealing with the Giannis situation over the recent weeks. And Shams, I mean, we're going to start right there because we have to start right there. And I know you've gone through this a number of times. We're going to ask you to do it once more. Giannis didn't get traded. They had serious talks. How do you think this went down, or I guess not went down?
So, as you guys have been a part of, really, this has been a 9-month roller coaster. Obviously, this roller coaster is now going into the second half of the season. But the only reason the Bucks even listened, opened up conversations, engaged with teams, they engaged and had conversations and were listening on offers on Giannis from Miami, from Minnesota, from Golden State, New York, other teams that called. And the only reason they were doing that was because Giannis himself made it clear to people that mattered in that organization that he was ready to move on, that he believes the time has come for both sides to move on. So they went through the exercise, they engaged with teams. They essentially told teams that they felt they needed to be blown away, whether that's 5 first-round picks, however you want to equate it. So teams engaged. It never got close. And now these sides are going to go into the second half of the season. There's a Bucks team, I think that's 9 games under 500. They get Ousmane Dieng at this trade deadline, send out Cole Anthony, as well as Amir Coffey. So no major moves at this deadline. They're going to have 3 first-round picks to play with in the summer. And I had one team tell me that coming away from their conversations with the Bucks, they felt like that the Bucks truly believe they're going to be able to form a championship contending roster around Giannis next season. That's what John Horst has led people to believe. And so we'll see if they can get Giannis mentally back on board with that over the offseason. And, if he is still on the roster on October 1, he is eligible for a 4-year, $275 million extension.
So, look, I've seen a lot of stuff. We've all been around the league for a while. Shams still, like the majority of his life, I mean, he counts. His experience is up there. I have seen teams sort of try to talk things into existence. And so I wouldn't put anything past it. But, Bobby, is it realistic for the Bucks now to shift into a situation where they know that Giannis is, looking to potentially go elsewhere? Can they pull this rabbit out of a hat and make this not another discussion come the summer when we go to another Giannis trade scenario?
Well, it's similar to kind of what they tried to do last summer when they waived and stretched Damian Lillard and they signed Miles Turner and then they added some veteran minimum guys. They re-signed Raleigh and Rollins here. I think it becomes a little bit more, I don't want to say difficult, but attainable because, as Shams said, now you have the 3 first-round picks. Where that pick is going to be in this year, if it's in the lottery, to go out and move and make a deal here. So I do think there's more resources for you to do. But having gone through this, and certainly it's probably taken some years off Shams' life on this here, and we've all lost some sleep. It reminds me a lot of Dwight Howard. And Dwight Howard, back in 2011, we had a trade lined up to get him.
You were with the Brooklyn Nets, yeah. New Jersey Nets, I guess, then.
At the last minute, Dwight Howard elected to opt into his contract.
On the plane. It was a crazy story. You can Google it. It's a crazy story.
Yeah, so players' emotions go all over the place here. And this is a player that's extended 3 different times. And if they show that they have a nice young player or if they have something else they can get with it, I would say anything's on the table.
So here's the thing, Shams. Like, if you look at the Bucks' pathway since they won the championship, they've tried these big, giant moves to keep the team really good around Giannis. Dame Lillard. Wow, like amazing that they did that. I actually thought that when they traded for Kyle Kuzma at last year's trade deadline, I was like, I couldn't believe they pulled that off, to be honest with you. Then last summer, a move that genuinely floored me when they waived and stretched Dame Lillard's $100 million and then used that money immediately on Miles Turner. Shocking. We get to this deadline and there's no more magic in the hat because they've made a couple of minor moves. There's no way to do it. Shams, the only way that I see them pulling more magic out and doing what you're talking about and convincing Giannis to reinvest is by making something happen in the draft. And so you mentioned, Bobby, they're 9 games under 500. I think right now, if they had the lottery tonight, they would be the 7th highest odds. I guess if they get lucky and hop up into that top 4 and they're being able to draft A.J. Debinsa, or if they're being able to, they can't get in the top 1 because their pick would swap with New Orleans, but they could theoretically get 2 or 3 or something like that. And then they could take that player, or I guess Shams offer to trade that player, and instead of taking trade offers, they are making trade offers. That to me is the only pathway. Do you see that as the pathway that they're looking at before we put you back in the trade jail with Giannis again?
I mean, listen. There were indications even last night that I heard that there was a feeling internally within the Bucks, and whether you feel like it's rational or irrational, that hey, we're gonna have 3 first-round picks in the offseason. What can we go do? Can we go get, but Jaren Jackson just went for 3 firsts, right? So let's say you take a guy like Jaren Jackson and put him on the Milwaukee Bucks. Do you view that as a championship team? Like, I think there were some people, around Milwaukee that have to ask that question, and you deal with the realities of the situation. But Giannis has meant so much to this organization. He's someone that obviously won a championship there, brought first championship in 50 years. So there's an attachment level there. He means so much to the city, to the marketing, to the audience, to everything, to ownership specifically. And so as long as they feel like, I think that they can try to have a shot, I'm sure they would rather have the alternative and stomach Giannis feeling on any given time, that he might not necessarily feel like there's a future there. Which he's felt for the majority of the last 9 months. I mean, listen, when they made that Miles Turner wave, when they wave and stretch Damian Lillard to sign Miles Turner, that move was not done with Giannis' approval. That was not done with Giannis' blessing. It was, hey, we're making a big move like we always do. Fast forward about a month and a half, and Giannis is meeting with John Horst in Greece, basically saying, I have serious concerns over the roster. And I believe it's time for us to look at other options, at a potential trade to the Knicks. And that's what sparked those conversations. So they've been through this song and dance, and so actions always are going to speak louder than words. We'll see how the second half goes and the summer goes, and if he's on the roster on October 1.
But Shams, do you know if the Bucks had Giannis' approval to trade for Ousmane Dieng today? You sent a tweet out about that trade and about 70 others. Do you know how many tweets? I don't know if we know the answer, but do you have any idea how many tweets, breaking news, over the last 5 or 6 days you sent?
That's a lot. Oh, my God.
Yeah, don't look behind you. It's actually kind of upsetting.
That's a lot. I mean, listen, I didn't know, like, Tuesday and Wednesday was a lot. And I thought, obviously last year, I want to see the numbers. Like, obviously, last year with Luka Doncic and De'Aaron Fox, there was a lot of star power movement. This year, I think it was more surprises than anything else. I mean, you go back to Trae Young going to Washington, and obviously AD, Anthony Davis going to Washington. That was a surprise to everyone in the NBA. So I think it's more interesting, surprising moves. But like even a trade like today, Ivica Zubac going to the Pacers, that wasn't a surprise because everyone knew Indiana wanted a big man. But the fact that now they get someone that Tyrese Halliburton is going to be excited about going into next season, they are the reigning Eastern Conference champions. Like, there's going to be a lot of excitement around the Pacers to see Ivica Zubac and Tyrese Halliburton run the pick and roll.
Well, let's start right there because Zubac was the biggest move that happened sort of during the deadline buildup here. And what's fascinating about this one, Shams, is that the Pacers, when they lost Miles Turner, they knew they needed to get a center. So if there was a center, the Pacers were in the market. Bobby, we were hearing the Pacers trying to maybe get Daniel Gafford from the Mavericks. Well, when the James Harden trade went down and it was like, oh my gosh, maybe the Clippers will sell, obviously Indiana got very aggressive. They give 2 first-round picks. Shams, the details that you tweeted out of this draft pick, in fact, you were getting it live on air. Literally, you got the text live on air with Malika. Okay, there's a 2029 first-round pick, unprotected. So anytime you talk about an unprotected pick, that's pretty interesting. Ben Mathurin, that's a player. That's pre-agency, right, Bobby? He's going to be a free agent, restricted free agent this summer. Certainly, they traded thinking, a young player. But here's the one, Shams, that's fascinating. So Zubac is under contract for 2 more years at less than $20 million a year, about $40 million for those 2 years. Quality player, high-level defender. The details of the second pick. Can you go over the details of the second pick? This is one of the most fascinating things all week that the Clippers are receiving.
Yeah, I don't want to get anything wrong, so I'm going to read exactly what it is. So the first pick, one of the picks that they got is a 2029 unprotected first-round pick. That's simple, right? But this upcoming draft is the one that's interesting, right? 2026 first-round pick. It's protected 1 through 4 and then 10 to 30. So the Clippers get, if the Pacers go 5 to 9, it's going there. And if it falls out of that range, then that pick becomes a 2031 unprotected Pacers first-round pick. So you're getting a good pick. Clearly, if it falls 5 to 9, you're getting a good pick in this year's draft. And if it doesn't convey, that 2031 pace, like who knows where Indiana is in 2031 when that's unprotected.
Well, that's what Indiana's hoping for because they're hoping to be in the top 4. So basically, here's the thing. Right now, the Pacers have the 3rd worst record in the league. Who knows where they're going to finish, okay? If the lottery was tonight, they'd have a 52% chance of going in that top 4, which means they'd have a 48% chance of giving up the pick. It's essentially a coin flip. Where it is today, who knows what's going to happen? Zubac might help them win some games. Bobby, this hits you.
You hit me.
I want to hear this. I want to hear this.
Here's why.
He hit me hard.
Here's why. Because essentially what this means, Shams, is that the Pacers believe that there's 4 guys in this draft that they think are star players that they cannot miss. But they could very easily hand over the 5th or 6th pick because of where they're going. And why does this hit you, Bobby?
Because in 2011, Shams, we made a trade after we struck out on
Dwight Howard.
Dwight Howard again. We traded a first-round pick to Portland for Gerald Wallace, and it was protected top 3 because we felt there was 3 good players. I think the only good player in that draft was AD.
I think I know where this one's going.
And you know who it turned out to be? Damian Lillard. At number 7.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, the draft was probably a little bit better than 3 players. I think Thomas Robinson, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, and AD, I think, were the 3 players in the top 3.
Wow. Okay, so that happened. Let's see how that all works out. But one thing that was fascinating, so you mentioned earlier one of the surprise trades of stars going was Anthony Davis, a trade that you broke on Wednesday. Anthony Davis went for 2 first-round picks and some expiring contracts, the largest of which being Chris Middleton, A.J. Johnson, a young player in that draft, or in that trade. But Shams, the 2 picks were protected. One pick is Oklahoma City's pick this year, which is going to be pick 29 or 30. So it's a first-round pick, but it's pretty far back in the draft. The second first-round pick is in 2030. It's the is it a Warriors pick?
Yeah, if it's 21 to 30.
Right, so it's protected inside the top 20. You know what's fascinating about this, Shams? Like, real talk, Ivica Zubac went for more than Anthony Davis, which you can understand why the Wizards did this deal.
Yeah, I mean, the Wizards, for them, it's like cost, right? Like, they went after Domantas Sabonis and Anthony Davis this week at the trade deadline. So they were kind of figuring out which guy can we get at what cost, and every team has a ranking. And to get Anthony Davis, a top 75 player, everyone knows how great Anthony Davis is when he's healthy. That's going to be the biggest key now that he's in Washington. But for the Mavericks, this was clearly them just completely getting rid of Anthony Davis's contracts on their books, completely starting fresh, building around Cooper Flag, and maybe this team's entire mindset is different. If they don't have Cooper Flag on this roster, maybe you're still trying to cobble things together. But the fact that you have that generational player already on your team, it kind of gives you some decision making to go all in on that and to provide flexibility for yourself to really build around Cooper Flag the way You need to. And it just was not going to be proper for them to just be in all of these aprons and be tax-paying teams for a team that just, like, frankly, even if Kyrie Irving comes back and Anthony Davis, due to health issues and concerns, you don't know how good that team's going to be next year. This year obviously has not gone great in Dallas from a win-loss record perspective. So I think for the Mavericks, it made a lot of sense shedding the money, getting a few assets, and moving your franchise onward. But listen, for the Wizards, this is a massive swing. I'm sure their ticket sales, everything is going through the roof. To get Trae Young and Anthony Davis at the trade deadline, I don't know how many people saw that coming into the season.
I agree. I certainly did. And Shams, thank you so much for all your work in the recent weeks. Put your phone down, yeah, right, and we'll catch you a little later.
Appreciate you guys.
So, Bobby, one of the reasons why the Mavericks made this deal was not necessarily to get the greatest picks. I'm sure they tried, but was to, as Shams was mentioning, to clear the books for Cooper Flagg. Can you, go over exactly what Dallas was able to accomplish in this trade so that people understand their motivation?
Yeah, I mean, they were headed towards the dreaded second apron. I mean, that's the reality of it with Anthony Davis, and then they were facing a decision with Anthony Davis, who was extension eligible this upcoming offseason here. They were limited as far as they didn't control their first-round pick for the next 4 years, I believe.
Right. That's right.
So the goal is to get a good pick in this year's draft, and they not only got under both aprons, they also got under luxury tax, and they also have financial flexibility to go out in free agency here. So they basically have wiped their slate clean, and there was an option out there to take back salary in a trade of maybe two starters that maybe could have got them into the play-in if they wanted to do that, and then that's not a direction that Dallas wanted to do.
Yeah, so it's like Toronto, for example, was a team that I think was interested in Anthony Davis but couldn't provide the financial flexibility that you're talking about. So the crazy thing is it was like 367 days or something between the Luka trade and now the AD trade, which he was sent away for. I think AD only played like 29 games in that stretch.
How many games with Kyrie?
Was it one?
Yeah.
I think half of a game, or was it?
The Houston game.
Yeah, and that's when the game he got hurt. He looked so good. And so, like, on one hand, I really don't want to hurt the Mavericks fans over this, but on the other hand, I feel like we kind of need to, like, historically put it in context. What was in and what went out. And so the crazy thing is when you look at what the Mavericks gleaned, they got, what they basically have after the two trades is Max Christie, a quality young wing player on a good contract. Yeah. Chris Middleton, who, I don't know, will they buy him out, you think? I mean, I don't even know if he's
veterans don't like getting bought out these days.
Okay.
They really don't. They like to finish with that team.
All
there.
right. So that was the big money.
Yeah.
AJ Johnson, who's a couple years into his career. Marvin Bagley, who's bounced around the league, he'll get some minutes there, I guess. They ended up making a side deal where they picked up Tyus Jones today to kind of replace D'Angelo Russell as a backup guard. Tyus Jones has been a journeyman. The 3 first-round picks, but again, it looks okay when I say 3 first-round picks, but one pick was the Mavericks pick, or the Lakers pick last year, which was in the 20s.
Yeah, I mean, they have that unprotected in 29, so that's probably the pick there,
Okay.
and it's the
Oh,
two
the pick-
the pick
pick
they have,
29.
Yeah, but the pick they got from is the Oklahoma City pick, which
Right.
is the last pick. I will say this for the Mavericks fans who are watching, for your mental health
If you're still
out there.
watching.
Look ahead, look to the future. Do not look back at what just happened in the last 367 days.
Okay, I agree. Watch Cooper Flagg in the next game. I don't know if it's tonight or tomorrow night. All right, probably the trade that may have affected the balance of power in the league the most took place a couple of days ago. Shams broke that one. When James Harden was sent to the Cleveland Cavaliers for Darius Garland. When I say sent, he was sent across the hall because the next game was against the Cavs. Darius Garland in a second-round pick. This trade was pretty surprising considering that LA is James Harden's home. He signed a couple of contracts here. The team had been playing very well. The Cavs, get a player 10 years older and under a much shorter contract than Darius Garland. But I have to say, the events of the last couple of days where the Clippers have begun sort of a bit of a teardown with trading Zubac, it makes me wonder if James Harden wanted to get out ahead of something he thought was coming and was willing. He had a trade veto, right, Bobby?
Yeah,
He could have vetoed the trade. He picked going to Cleveland, I think, because he liked the situation, I think, where it was headed better. And I think the Cavs were maybe more flexible with paying him longer term.
Yeah, I mean, I think for certainly them getting off, I think 6-21 to start, and I know they were 17-4 before this weekend here, and have lost a couple of games. I just think Harden saw the writing on the wall as far as what opportunity. Listen, it's not the first time. I don't know, hopefully it's the last time that he,
Yes.
for him,
It's 4 times he's requested a trade.
for him getting to.
He said he didn't request it, but he did.
For him getting to well, luckily there's no first-round picks involved.
The picks keep coming down that he's being traded for.
But as you've talked about it before, they had this kind of core four with Garland, Mobley, Allen, and Donovan Mitchell. The window shrinks a little bit here as far as the ability to try to win a championship. Now you take on a 36-year-old. I do think Cleveland getting off to a slow start. I know they've played better. If this was the team last year, if they were 36-10, they probably don't do this trade. And if Darius Garland's healthy, they probably don't do this trade here. But I think that a lot of that is taken into account. And you have touched on the future of Donovan Mitchell, who's extension eligible this offseason also.
Yeah, so if you look at what the Cavs did, obviously Harden is the headliner, absolutely. And even though he's older, he plays. Like, he rarely misses games. And by the way, he's not playing 22 minutes in his mid to late 30s. He's playing over 30 minutes routinely, and he's bruising the other team. He's getting to the line. He's shoving guys around. Like, Harden is still very much a physical force, and that's going to make an impact. But the other deal that the Cavs did with Sacramento, getting Dennis Schroeder and Keon Ellis, they've basically reformatted the backcourt around Donovan Mitchell. So now Donovan Mitchell has a guy to be his sort of running mate point guard who's bigger and more physical than Darius Garland and, frankly, healthier. Then they'll get him a backup in Schroeder. By the way, Donovan Mitchell had been the Cavs' starting point guard for much of this year because of injuries to Darius Garland and elsewhere. And they get him Keon Ellis, who can help him defensively take some of the perimeter matchups. This was really about making that guy 45 happy, Bobby.
Well, yeah, and they get some toughness. I mean, I think when they lost to Indiana in the second round, Kenny Atkinson was pretty out front about it. That hey, as talented as we are, do we lack a little bit of mental toughness? And I think Schroeder. We've seen him on a big stage playing for Germany, and now he goes to what is it, his 11th team?
I think this is the 9th time he's been traded or something like that. Yeah,
he's got a lot of jerseys hanging up in that wall,
including Deutschland, which is he's won some gold. All right. Now, as we get to the end of the trade season here, thank God, I want to take a look at some of the contenders and maybe some of the pretenders that have sort of emerged through the first half of the season. And let's put it in perspective for the fans and take a look and decide whether we think these teams made moves that made them a contender or a pretender. All right, let's start with a team that actually probably has had the most activity of any team this whole trade season. That's the Washington Wizards. Now, they're not going anywhere this year, but Bobby, take a look at this team and remember, very likely they are going to have a top 5 or 6 pick in this draft, which is loaded. Is this team a pretender or contender next year?
Well, our co-host Malika Andrews rolled her eyes at me when I said they were top 6 team.
So did I. I'm not going to lie to you, so did I. But I was interested. You caught me. You got my attention.
Contender for next year? I think they're top. I think they could. I said
I'll call
top
them
6.
If you're going to say they're going to be top 6, I'll call them a contender.
I'm going to say top 6 in the Eastern Conference. So yeah, I'm staying with it.
All right, let's talk about a team that made an under-the-radar deal today, but was very interesting, and that's the New York Knicks. So they got some bad news today. Deuce McBride suffered an abdominal injury, and he's going to need to have surgery, and probably going to knock him out for the bulk of the regular season. So they go out today and they trade for Jose Alvarado, the Brooklyn native. Grand Theft Alvarado from New Orleans, just, an absolute spark plug of a player and almost guaranteed to be fan favorite. So they plug in the hole for Miles McBride instantaneously.
I have to be contender, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
just based on what happened last year, and they're playing probably their best basketball right now.
8 straight wins in a row.
And they were proactive with the Deuce McBride injury to go out and get Jose Alvarado. Gives them another guy that gives a team toughness here.
Okay, how about a team that was trying to get Giannis and ended up getting still a big deal when they traded for Kristaps Porzingis last night? It's the Golden State Warriors. Bobby, the thing about it is Jimmy Butler, as you can see there, out for the season. He's just had ACL surgery the last few days. And now Steph Curry on the sidelines with a sore knee. The Porzingis pickup is obviously, a potential, big ad, but where is this team going? Contender, pretender?
I think they're a pretender. I would have even said if they were a pretender, even if they had gotten Giannis, based on how much,
Really?
yeah, how much they would have had to give up
That's
as far
true.
as with players and everything, and especially that it would have probably cost them Draymond Green and Jimmy Butler's hurt and what's left of the roster. I just look at, I mean, listen, we got to see where Porzingis is health-wise. That's going to be the most important. But where
Hasn't played in a month.
Where the other teams are in the Western Conference, I think I have to put them in the pretender category.
Yeah, I kind of get that. That's interesting. I think Giannis would have been maybe like a 2-year play, basically, because would have been this year and next year. That's what you're really looking for. How about the Los Angeles Lakers? So they made a minor deal today. They traded Gabe Vincent, who they signed a few years ago and really has spent a lot of time injury, for that gentleman at the top right there, Luke Kennard. One of the best three-point shooters in the league, shooting almost 50% on threes this year. And, the Lakers needed a few things. One of them was floor spacing and more reliable three-point shooting. Luke Kennard has been a reliable three-point shooter in this league for a long time now.
I hate to do this, even with LeBron
You
and
don't
Luka.
hate it. You don't hate it.
They're a pretender.
Yeah.
The one thing that what concerns me, and although they have DeAndre Ayton and Jackson Hayes, is the size. I looked it up. Those two players rank 5th and 7th on their roster in minutes played in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
They're not out there. That Knicks game kind of exposed things there.
Well, the other thing is, Kennard, you put him on the court and he's going to be attacked defensively, and defense has been what's been holding them back. They have a pretty good record for their defense, but they've got a bottom 5-6 defense, and Kennard doesn't really help you with that. So I think a spot player. A team that made an interesting deal today, and I want to get your opinion on this, is the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Yeah.
So yesterday, or it was the day before, they made a move to cut some salary. And then they went out and, they tried to trade for Giannis as well. They weren't able to get headway there. And then they made a deal with the Bulls today for Ayo Dosunmu, who is having a great season, averaging 15 points, shooting 45% on threes. He is an unrestricted free agent at the end of the season. So if they want to keep him, it's gonna cost them, and that's one of the reasons why Chicago traded him. But this is exactly the type of player that the Wolves needed to put next to Ant Edwards in the backcourt.
I like the move a lot. I mean, oh God, it's a tough one. I mean, because I love Denver and I love OKC and San Antonio.
Ant Edwards is on the team.
I know. You know what? Considering they've gotten to the NBA, to the conference finals 2 years in a row, I'm going to put them as a contender. I think I have to, just because of their core guys still stayed. He's extension eligible to up until June 30th too, so maybe they get a deal done before he gets free agency. But it cost them 4 seconds, and I think that's the type of move they had to kind of do. As far they lost Nickeil Alexander-Walker last year, they slide him in for the last 30 games. So I think the move they had to do.
All right, so I want to talk about the two teams that are still number one in each conference. Oklahoma City, they make a move to get Jared McCain. They are really banged up, Bobby. Do you still like them as the team to beat? I
do. I think healthy. I mean, Jalen Williams is going to be the big thing, right?
Yeah.
As far as where he is with, he had a hamstring and his wrist. I like what they were able to do is they've always turned draft picks into other draft picks. Now they're turning draft picks into live bodies that can actually help. So I do like the Jared McCain. I still think what they showed us in the first 35 games plus last year is good enough for me.
Well, in the East, the Detroit Pistons have been the number one seed all year. They make a move to add Kevin Huerter for shooting. A lot of teams on their heels, though. The Celtics made a move to add Nikola Vucevic. Obviously, the Cavs made a move. Philly is playing very, very well. Do you like Detroit to hold on to that number one spot in the East?
I'm going to put an asterisk on that.
All right.
You know where I'm going here, right?
No.
If a certain player in Boston comes back.
Aha. Yes.
I think that
Jason Tatum.
That changes the dynamics in the Eastern Conference.
As strange as that is, that almost is like one of the big things of the sort of transaction season. It's not a trade, but if Jason Tatum comes back, it could be the biggest addition to any team in the Eastern Conference. So, pretty active trade deadline. Over 50 players traded. I think all but one team in the East, all but 3 teams total. 1 in the East, 2 in the West made deals. So, we were very active. Bobby, you helped us through all of it. Thank you very much to Shams Charania, who just dominated the news cycle, as he always does. Thank you very much for joining us on this special edition of Hoop Streams and the trade deadline special. Until we meet again,